Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to Watchcastage. Black Gloves Bandrew here. I almost called myself Blandrew. Today we are looking at a watch from Seiko, the Seiko Prospex or Prospex Alpinist SPB159, commonly referred to as the Baby Alpinist. If you are interested in this watch costs around $700. I will throw some links down below. Chances are they will not be affiliate links, so keep that in mind. Let's talk about the build quality. As far as the weight of this, it comes in at around 85 grams on the provided leather strap. The case diameter is 38 millimeters. The thickness of this watch is a whopping 13 millimeters. It is a bit of a chunky boy for a 38 mil watch. The lug to lug on this thing comes in at 46 millimeters. The lug width of this is 20 millimeters, so you'll replace this strap with 20 millimeter straps. Also, this watch does not have drilled lugs, so you will need to go in from the rear of the watch to take out the strap. On the rear of the watch, you'll find a screwed-down display case back. This allows for up to 200 meters of water resistance. On the top of the watch, you have a domed sapphire crystal, which does have anti-reflective coating on the underside. Gives you some nice distortion there as well, really cool looking. The material of the case is all going to be stainless steel. At 3 o'clock, you do have a screwed-down crown, which is also made of stainless steel. It is an unsigned crown as well, so no Seiko logo etched onto that at all, just a plain crown right there. And there are no crown guards on this watch, if that is a concern to you. The version of the watch that I got comes on this black leather strap. The clasp is a brushed clasp with a Seiko logo etched on it. It has a deployant clasp where it allows you to press the buttons on both sides, and that will release the strap like that. Also, if you want to make an adjustment to where the strap is located, you will press those buttons again, and it will unlock, allowing you to more easily adjust how long your strap is. And as you can see right in the lower left-hand side of the display caseback, this watch is made in Japan. Next, let's talk about the finishing on this watch, and it is pretty straightforward because the entire case is a high polish. You do have a slight brushing on the tops of the lugs though, and that is really the only difference in the entire case in terms of finishing. As far as the dial color, this is what Seiko refers to as the black dial, but as you can see around the edges, you do have a bit more of a black dial, but then it gradiates towards more of a light gray towards the center. This is similar to all of the other Baby Alpinists out there. They are darker around the edges and then they lighten up in the center. And as you can see, it has some really nice texture throughout the entire dial. The first thing on the outside of the dial is the minute track, and directly inside of that you have hour markers at every even hour, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Every odd hour has a little triangle marker, and I should note none of these numerals, none of these Arabics are loomed. There is some loom, which we'll discuss a little bit later though. Below the 12, you do have this applied Seiko logo, which I think is a nice touch to have something applied on the dial. Just above the 6, you have the Prospex or Prospex logo. Beneath that, in cursive, you have automatic because this is an automatic watch. And then beneath that, it says 20 bar because this watch has 200 meters of water resistance. And then if you really want to test your eyes, if you look on either side of the 6, on the left you have Japan 6R35, and on the other side, I have no idea what that reads. I think I need to get my eyes checked. Let me know what that reads. Is that 00N0RE? I don't know. I don't know what it says. Help. Then if we look at 3 o'clock, you'll see the date wheel there. It is a black date wheel with white Arabics on it, and surrounding the date wheel is an off-white or a faux patina frame that matches the printing on the rest of the dial. Then when we look at the handset, we have cathedral hands, which really look great on this watch. There is plenty of lume in all of them, including in the seconds hand, right there at the tip. And we'll do a little bit of a lume test very shortly. Then when we look at the movement of the watch, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's pretty. You shouldn't be expecting the world at this price point, but it is nice that you're able to see it at all, and it gives you a little bit of a view into what the watch is doing and can really excite people, I've found. Showing them the inner workings of the watch can really make people understand what's cool about them. Next, if we dive a little bit more into the specs or the features, the movement in this watch is Seiko's 6R35. This is a 24 jewel movement. It has hacking and hand wind, and as you saw on the front, it has a date as well. As far as magnetic resistance, this only offers 60 Gauss of magnetic resistance. The quoted accuracy for this movement is -15 to +25 seconds a day. As far as the accuracy of my specific watch, I was getting around +20 seconds a day. I was shocked by that because it's so bad. Then I threw it on a demagnetizer and I got the accuracy to around +5 seconds a day. That's where the magnetic resistance kind of fell short because I work near guitar speakers, studio monitors, microphones all day, and that can really affect the accuracy of a watch. So I was seeing, I would say +5 seconds a day. And here you go. Here is the lume test. You can see that the hour and the minutes hand have plenty of lume on them. Very easy to read, very easy to differentiate them. The seconds hand even has a bit of lume on it, so you can get very accurate with your reading. But then when we look at the hour markers, you can tell it's very difficult to tell the orientation, if at all. There's no lume on the Arabics. There's no double dot at the 12 o'clock. You just have these tiny little nubbins all the way around the outside of the dial. No way to tell which way is 3 o'clock, which way is 12, which way is 7. Really difficult to read in that regard, but the hands are excellent in terms of lume. And here's how the watch looks on my 7.5 or 7.25 inch wrist. Really nice fit at 38 millimeters. Not too big, not too small, just a great size, and really works well on my style of wrist. As you can see, it is a little bit tall there at 13 millimeters, a little bit chunky, but it will still slip under your cuff with a little bit of difficulty, but it can work. Now let's get to the more subjective part of this review, and we'll start with my pros. I don't think that I already mentioned this, but this has a 70-hour power reserve. That's the benefit we got from upgrading from the 6R15 to the 6R35 movement. 70 hours is outstanding for a power reserve and an everyday watch. Really happy to have that. Also, at 200 meters of water resistance, that is excellent. Everyday watch material there. You don't have to worry about being thrown into a pool. You don't have to worry about it raining on you. This is a perfect level of water resistance, in my opinion. 200 meters, you're not going to run into any issues unless you spontaneously go scuba diving or something. Do people do that spontaneously? I don't know. Also, I absolutely love this type of clasp. I kind of fell in love with this type of push deployant clasp on a leather strap, and now I want this on all of my non-bracelet watches. I want this type of deployant clasp on all my watches. I absolutely love that. And the last pro for me is the fact that it is a 38 millimeter watch. These aren't the most prominent sized watches, but I think that 38 millimeters is excellent for a lot of people. I personally think they look great on my wrist. They're perfectly sized, so I'm a bit partial to that. I'm a bit biased. 38 millimeters, give me them watches all day, every day. But then we get to the cons, and the first one is the height of this thing. At 13 millimeters, it is a bit chunky, especially for a 38 millimeter watch. It is a little bit disproportionate there. It's a small diameter watch or a smaller diameter watch, but it's quite a chunky watch. Also, Seiko isn't really known for their straps. This is no exception. I think this strap kind of sucks. I don't like the leather. It's not supple. It takes a very long time to form to your wrist, and it still is a little bit uncomfortable. So really not the biggest fan of the strap, although I do still love the actual deployant clasp on this thing. And the last con that I have is the magnetic resistance. I think this is pretty common for a lot of watches, but given what I do a lot of recording. I mic up guitar cabs. I have studio monitors, microphones, everything like I already mentioned. If a watch is not anti-magnetic, it's going to end up getting magnetized and becoming quite inaccurate. So I was kind of disappointed by that. For an everyday watch, I would like to see a little bit more, but for most people, they're not doing what I do, so I understand that's not going to be a top priority. Now let's talk my conclusion on this watch. As far as an everyday watch, I think this thing is pretty damn effective. It wears really well. It has a great size in terms of diameter. Yes, it's a little bit chunky, but you can make do with that. It has plenty of water resistance at 200 meters. It has a sapphire crystal anti-reflective coating. It's not too flashy. It does still capture the light, but if somebody sees you wearing this, they're not going to want to rob you. It's not a Rolex. The one issue that I did run into, as I just alluded to, is the magnetic resistance. And that may be because I'm a little bit spoiled. I wear a Zin 556A normally. This has 1000 Gauss of resistance, so I get a little bit better protection when miking stuff up. I may be a little bit irresponsible to be wearing these watches in the studio, but I do, and I would like the watches to be protected against that a little bit. But other than that, I think this would make an outstanding everyday watch for the majority of people. And to wrap up the video, would I recommend this watch? That I am somewhat on the fence about. The reason I'm on the fence about it is this watch costs $700. This is the Baby Alpinist. The SARB 017, which was the prior Alpinist, went for $400. This movement is the 6R35. The SARB 017 had the 6R15. The only real difference between the two is this has 20 additional hours of power reserve. That's the main difference. They also shrunk down the case 38 millimeters, but it is a bit chunkier. So I have my cons there. I think it is a great everyday watch. Is it worth the additional $300 over the SARB 017? That's for you to decide. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. I'm just going to point out what I think the drawbacks are and what I think the pros are. But I think that's it for this video. I would love to hear from you if you have this watch. What are your thoughts on it? Do you like the gradient dial? That is something that I'm still not 100% on. I still don't know if I like that or dislike it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, thumbs down. Let me know what watches you're interested in, and I will see you in a couple of weeks with another watch review that I have worn for weeks, because I wear these watches before I review them. I wear them for weeks before I review them. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.